Notes about John McCain's funeral this past week. Almost everyone who spoke described McCain as a hero, and in that they were absolutely right. I spent the better part of a year with McCain once, starting in the summer of 1999, and can confirm that he was every bit as tough as people say he was. I was sitting 2 rows back from him on a charter flight when our plane was hit by lightning in a thunderstorm. For a minute, we seemed to be falling out of the sky. People on board screamed in panic. McCain, and I watched this, yawned and went back to sleep. Months later, I walked through Wallow Prison with him in Hanoi, where he had spent years in solitary confinement, being tortured with ropes. That was the happiest time of my life, he said, almost under his breath. It was clear that he meant it. There aren't a lot of people like John McCain in this country anymore, and that's a shame. There was a lot about him to admire. You've got to wonder what he would have made of his funeral and its coverage on television. The parade of greasy politicians and mindless cliche merchants using his death to celebrate themselves. If you've ever lost someone you care about, ask yourself, what would it take for you to launch into a political speech in the middle of a eulogy? Would you even consider doing that? Everyone mourns in different ways, of course, but at McCain's funeral, everyone seemed to be mourning in exactly the same way and demanding the rest of us do it that way, too. Just a few election cycles ago, many of these very same people were denouncing John McCain as a racist and a danger to this country. Some of them were attacking his wife and children. Now they're using John McCain's memory to attack the rest of us, anyone who's not with their program, a program that has made them richer and more self-satisfied than any ruling class in history, even as our country's middle class has withered and died. Technically, it was a bipartisan group that mourned McCain. They said that a lot. But on the questions that matter, they were in complete agreement with each other. The status quo is working for them. Anyone who challenges it must be crushed. The media applauded the whole thing, of course. They're on the same team as the people on the stage with the same prerogatives at stake. They led the cheerleading. They nodded in solemn, bovine agreement as one member of Congress even described John McCain as, quote, a warrior for peace. The smarter ones, the media, must have been snickering secretly at the absurdity of that. A warrior for peace? That's ridiculous, and it's not an attack on John McCain to say so. McCain was a warrior for war. He said so himself many times. He was not ashamed of that, hardly. John McCain's life was forged in war. He was probably the most warlike senator Washington ever produced, and he was proud of that. But when they start describing him as Gandhi, you know they're not just lying, they are telling you the opposite of the truth. But that's their signature move, inverting reality and demanding that you believe it. Low-wage immigration makes us rich. Debt makes us secure. Men and women are identical. Abortion is freedom. Diversity is strength. War is peace. They say these things with great vehemence, not because they believe them, but precisely because they know they're not true. They are lies so obvious they can only be disseminated by force, but not for long. Lies do not endure forever. People find out in the end. There was a wistfulness at the funeral that suggested a lot of these people were mourning not just John McCain's passing, but the coming end of their own reign and the fantasies that made it possible. Or maybe they're not that self-aware. Either way, I wish I'd been able to include that scene in my new book. The book is about this very group of people and the damage they have caused to our country. It's called Ship of Fools, How a Selfish Ruling Class is Bringing America to the Brink of Revolution. It's out in a few weeks, but you can order it now. It's a middle finger aimed right back in their direction. Hope you like it. American institutions used to celebrate effort and ability and fairness. Now all of those values are being sacrificed to the god of diversity, which is our only strength, we are told. But is it? And what does this mean for our country going forward? Next, we're going to speak with someone who just sort of